All right. Happy Monday or Tuesday, depending on where you are in the world. Welcome in to Tunes Brothers on a Monday night, and we need alternatives with my good friend Dana and our producer Down Under Dave. How you guys doing tonight?
I'm good.
I'm good.
I'm just trying to find all your stuff, so just give me.
Okay, well, I'll give you a
for a little while, and
I'll talk for a little bit. So the couple things on everybody's minds. Congratulations to any of you Canadian folks. Your Little League World Series team beat Panama today, so they're still in it. So congratulations to the Canadians. I'm sorry, but Australia was eliminated earlier last week, and so but hey, they fought hard, right? And they speak cool, right? So congratulations to those teams. Hi, everybody out there. And of course, the question burning on everybody's mind is this the night?
Is it?
Is this the night where we finally hear the Smiths? Is it or isn't it? You have to stay tuned to find out if it is or not, because anything can happen. And if it's not this night, when will it be?
When will it be?
When will it be? We just don't know. Dave, did you find everything?
Yeah, I think you
found everything. Well, so we're going to kind of pick things up a little bit where we left off from 2 weeks ago. Sorry we weren't here last week with Chris in the studio. He had a family thing that came up unexpectedly, and he couldn't break away. And now we couldn't make it up because he has a high profile client in the studio recording an album, and he's booked for like 2.5 weeks, so he's unavailable. So we'll catch up with him in a couple of weeks. He was really excited to do the show, and the thing came up, but we will get there. So we're going to, instead of playing Is It New Wave tonight, we're going to do something. I'm calling it Play It Again, because we already did I can't say who the client is, Motley. I'm not allowed to speak to who it is. But he did mention that person's name on the first show that we did with him. So if you can guess from there, and it's not the band that he's in, it's not Oceans of Slumber, it's somebody else. So, but he did mention that person's name. So we're going to play a thing and call it Play It Again. So before, on Tunes Brothers, we did Cover This, right? Where we had, did this band cover a song better than another band? So we're doing something kind of similar where two bands played the same song, or they covered a song, and we're just going to kind of take a look at them. Not necessarily who did it better or anything. It's just more of a, hey, this is where these came from. So Dave, go ahead, play whichever one you want first.
No worries.
All right, so everyone knows the song "Our Lips Are Sealed," the Go-Go's, and "Our Lips Are Sealed" by Fun Boy 3. So this one is kind of a trick question, because the song was co-written by Jane Wiedlin from the Go-Go's and Terry Hall, who at the time was in a band called the Specials. When the Go-Go's were touring in England. In the early 80s, they were on the tour with the Specials, and Terry Hall, they got to know each other pretty well, and Terry Hall sent a set of lyrics to Jane Wiedlin back to LA, later, and then she kind of wrote this music. So they both kind of did their own versions of it. So kind of a very different. One's really kind of laid back and one's kind of poppy. And I remember seeing the Go-Go's in 1981 when they opened for the Police in the Boston Garden, and I didn't. They were all I knew it was really tinny sounding, right? It was because they were kind of Fender Telecasters and really tinny, and got kind of a squeaky voice, and the Boston Garden was not a good place to see music. It was better than the Cape Cod Coliseum, but it it wasn't a good place. And then so that was like in January of 81, and then the Police came back to Boston in April of that was January of 82, and then they came back in April of 82. And then Dana, you were living in Massachusetts, and we went and saw them, and they had Bow Wow Wow open for them for that one.
Yep.
So that was kind of a different thing. But anyway, any thoughts on that one, folks, or are you just chilling out tonight? It's Monday.
I have a thought.
Good. Go ahead.
The Go-Go's a much better version, in my opinion.
Yeah,
I do remember hearing that other bit, and that I don't know. I always find that to be quite boring.
It is. It's a little subdued.
Laid back is all right, but that's just a little
laid back.
And especially when you know the other version, I think it ruins that anyway. Like you're not gonna. I can't see that you would like that version better than the Go-Go's.
Right.
It's just different.
Yeah,
different, but yeah, like I said, maybe if that was the only version of the song you heard, it might be all right. But I think when you hear the upbeatness of the Go-Go's, I don't think you can compare the two.
Yeah, and it's kind of one of those weird ones where I think she wrote the music and he wrote the lyrics, so it's he didn't contribute to what the music was going to be. He just took it and just did it differently.
And in regard to the lyrics, my understanding was always that because this was the days before email or the interwebs or anything like that, they were using snail mail to send lines back and forth to the song. So they both had written some of the lyrics, but it was
yeah, and I'm sure
imagine what the young folk are thinking. What is this thing called snail mail?
Yeah.
Snail. What do you mean things were instantaneous?
I'm sure a phone call would have been very expensive to kind of try and do that.
Yeah, transatlantic
calls, as they used to call them, like just ringing another state was terrible. Not that when mobile phones came out, let's be honest, what was it, $1 for 30 seconds?
Yeah.
If you had something to say, you had to say it quickly.
Say it quick. Yeah, that's true. All right, Dave, why don't you play us one more?
Okay, this one, I think I know this one.
All right. That was the Brains and Money Changes Everything. They did it originally first, and then obviously can't mistake Cyndi Lauper. It was on her album, What the Girl's So Curious, or whatever the heck the name of that album.
She's so unusual.
She's so unusual. She's so curious too. But yeah, so she covered it. Obviously, she probably liked them. She probably knew them or something as well. But two very kind of different sounding versions of it. One's a little more on the kind of, I don't want to say punk side, but a little bit more on the heavier side of new wave, and hers was a little bit on the poppier side of it.
I think they were closer together though than the first two that we listened to.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Her voice just makes it different.
Yeah, I mean, I think Cindy brings that little bit of energy to the song. So, she was quite infectious, let's be honest. So. And do you remember back in the day, it was Cyndi Lauper versus Madonna, who was going to be the real big one. And that turned out to be a bit of a blow, didn't it? Because Cindy disappeared and Madonna took over the world.
Yeah.
She did. All right.
With less talent, I may add.
It's hard to say.
My opinion.
Your opinion.
One of the craziest things I ever saw, this is kind of 6 degrees of separation, but there was some sort of an awards show that was on, and they had Cyndi Lauper singing a duet with Patti LaBelle, and it was just a complete, it was a friendly competition, but believe it or not, Cyndi Lauper could keep up with Patti LaBelle, who just has this incredibly crazy, multi-octave, gospel voice. So I had a lot of respect for Cyndi Lauper after I saw that, because she just got an amazing set of pipes.
Yeah, I think maybe just her persona kind of made people think that she wasn't as good a singer as she probably was or is, right? I mean, because she had the caricature of herself, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, but on some songs, she really shined, time after time, things like that, right? Where she just really kind of sang, kind of normal without being the quirky character that she created, right? And then when you create those characters, what happens?
You're stuck.
You're stuck with those characters, right? You're stuck with Captain Lou Albano and stuff like that. And people expect you to be that way 24/7, right? And unfortunately, it's not that way. So, but she's come back, in many ways and done stuff, right? Other than just doing commercials for eczema or something. Is that what? So.
Yeah. And she did. I mean, they did give her enough respect to give her a solo line or two in We Are the World.
That's true.
Yeah. For better or worse.
For a bit. That's more than some people got.
I think the whole thing was worse, but.
And Dell's right. She did make the Hall of Fame. Cyndi Lauper is in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Wasn't We Are the World, though, just America's way of not liking that, Britain did something?
Oh, yeah, Band-Aid.
We are, don't they know it's Christmas?
We could do a whole show on that, but Band-Aid, I don't ever want to hear We Are the World ever again for as long as I live. But do they know it's Christmas? Tops. And
it's got My Boy on the drums.
Yeah. There you go.
Mr. Phil.
Mr. Phil. We saw Phil last night.
Did Take Me Home.
Yeah. See, a little bit of everything
actually,
for everybody.
I actually read somewhere where he's got some new songs he might be doing.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that.
Gonna have to be some studio magic on his voice though, because he's not quite like he was.
I was gonna say he's in pretty tough shape, right? Physically.
Yeah. It's I think his spine was a big problem, and the operation wasn't good. And
couldn't play drums anymore. Yeah.
His son plays quite well though.
Does he?
Yeah. Well, so Nick is his son. He's played with Phil solo, and he played with Genesis on their last tour. So he's quite an accomplished drummer himself.
And Dell says his daughter is good looking. You know what? I don't know. I've heard.
Oh yes, she is.
I mean, I've seen quotes from her, but
Lily Collins. She's an actress.
Yeah.
Oh, is she?
No, that's right. Yeah. That's right. All right. Ooh. One left, Dave. Let's do it.
Yep. And obviously, I know this one.
Yeah, everybody should know.
The tide is high, but I'm holding on. I'm gonna be your number one. I'm not the kind of man who gives up just like that. No, it's not the things you do that really hurts me bad. But
Okay, obviously we all
No
know
contest.
that the
Yep.
the original version,
Yeah, very good. Love it.
you know, reggae, and then of course a 20-year later version, right?
Yeah.
So you know, obviously people are gonna like the newer version because it sounds better, but the original version is the original version, and it's true to what it is. And I don't think that Blondie changed it a whole heck of a lot. You know, other than maybe not having some of the same instruments, but I think they stayed pretty true to the original.
Yeah.
Yeah, they kept that
stuff.
reggae feel to it.
Yeah,
for sure. Yep.
I must admit, I don't think I've ever heard the original version before. So
the Paragons. Yeah,
before my time,
I hadn't heard it either until, you know, I decided to kind of do this thing. But
research. Yep.
Research. Yes, I mean, I knew I heard it was a cover, but Blondie did quite a few covers early on, right? So we've already done Hanging on the Telephone on Backtrack.
Sometimes though, I think the secret to a good cover is to do a cover of a song not many people know anyway.
Yeah.
Because then people don't tend to judge you as harshly.
True.
You know, on the original. So
yeah. So if you do something that's been out like just a couple of years, and it's funny because and I don't want to get too far off topic, but in the 60s, you know, Dana, you well know this well, is people were covering Beatles songs like the month that they released them or a month after. I mean, there would be cover versions of current Beatles songs by people all the time. And you know, Lennon and McCartney probably didn't give a crap because if they sold, they got the money because of the publishing, some of the publishing anyway. But you know, but I don't think they ever got knocked off the charts by somebody covering one of their songs. But you know, people were always covering them. So, and not just rock people, but you know, obviously, you know, jazz people, Sinatra, people like that were always covering their songs and doing them slightly differently. But anyway,
then of course something was Frank Sinatra's favorite Lennon and McCartney song.
Yeah, that's what he said. His favorite Lennon and McCartney song. That tells you it's Frank. Yeah, Frank. Yeah, that's we all know that George Harrison wrote that, right? So anyway, all right. So enough of the games and the fun. So we're going to, so we kind of left you off with where we were at the very beginning of 1982, but we want to take a quick step back into 1981, just a little bit, and talk about some things that were happening. And one of those things that we, you know, kind of failed to talk about a little bit is MTV and what MTV did to music and how we as viewers and listeners kind of approach things. Now, Danny, you want to take that?
Yeah. So for those of you who were born in the last 50 years, right? Try to imagine a time when you heard a song on the radio. It was a new artist you'd never heard of before. You liked the song, and the songs that you liked and that you were familiar with, you really had no visual with them, right? You know, your favorite song might have a memory attached to it, like, yeah, I remember hearing that song when I was on the beach with my friends, or in my case, every time I hear the song Dizzy by Tommy Rowe, it reminds me of me going with my mom, driving to a gas station after dark, when my father was stationed in Germany, and Dizzy came on the radio. So now every time I hear Dizzy, that's what I think of. But there was really no visual that came along with them. And for smaller acts too, you may not ever know what the band looked like, you know, unless they were on a variety show doing their hit, or if, you know, you bought Tiger Beat magazine or 16 or one of those magazines that were popular at the time, you know, you didn't even know what these people looked like. So then there was a complete paradigm change in 1981, and I can't remember the exact date. Jim, you probably have it.
It would just happen. It was August something.
Yeah. And all of a sudden, MTV comes on the scene, and now suddenly instead of music being associated with just a song that you liked, a song you heard on the radio, might even be a song you didn't like, right? Now everything was associated with an image, right? So this prophetic song, Video Killed the Radio Star, that was the first song that was played on MTV, which I think we did that as a cover one week, right? Because that was actually a cover. But, and I will say this, having promotional videos created by artists was more common overseas than it was in the US. In the US, you didn't see that as much, but even MTV, a lot of what the reason why a lot of English artists got a lot of airplay on or broadcast time on MTV was because a lot of them had already been doing, promotional videos. Bowie was already doing promotional videos. So that's why when MTV came out, Ashes to Ashes was a big MTV video early on. Even though it was a year old or so, Once in a Lifetime by Talking Heads was a big song. But now the trouble is that now our memories of songs are indelibly linked to an MTV video, right? Like people would, instead of, coming to school and saying, wow, did you hear that new song over the weekend by Terry Jacks, who nobody knew what he looked like, called Seasons in the Sun? Then, people were coming to school and saying, oh, wow, did you see that, new video by that artist named, Madonna? She's really dressed in a freaky way and she's wearing a push-up bra and blah, 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 blah. And that's what became our memory of songs, or bands trying to get their image across. Like I think about, what was that 38? Somebody's going to know this that I don't know, but that 38 Special song that was a really lo-fi or a really low quality video. Like the video was probably done on videotape. It probably wasn't filmed on actual film, but here's a band, playing in a bar, but you knew what that band's image was because of the way they looked in it, in the same way that you kind of knew that Talking Heads were out there because of the Once in a Lifetime video. But to me, it was a huge change because now we can't even think of music as not being sold at the same time with some sort of image, like when I say, You Might Think by the Cars, what comes to mind,
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny. It like,
yes. Hold on loosely is correct. Thank you. I couldn't come up with it. Thank you.
So now that the modern day,
That's right.
MTV is YouTube, right? Every artist, there's videos on YouTube. So everything is visual, but that's the song Video Killed the Radio Star, right? The first one they played was so prophetic in so many ways, right? Because prior to video, like you said, we didn't necessarily know what our heroes or our artists looked like all the time, right? So we went by their talent, right? Whether we like the song, whether you know what I mean, that kind of thing. Yeah. And then, but Video Kills the Radio Star. It's like, oh, he has a face for radio, right? That's that old saying, right? So you weren't, all of a sudden now you kind of had to not only be good musically, but you had to be pretty in many ways. And that gave rise to all the, the photogenic bands of the early 80s. And then from there on, not to say that there weren't ugly people still playing music, because there still were. But it did take a shift into how consumers thought of music, right? We were now not only being, in the old days, maybe it was, payola or whatever, stuff in the program directors to play this song or play that song. But now it was, oh, look at these guys, they're pretty. Oh, look at that, she's hot, we're gonna play that video. Oh, it's this video is a little bit smoky, and so that way they directed our attention where they wanted it. Media's always directed our attention, right? No matter what, even no matter what, but as far, and I remember not really knowing, like you said, all these promotional videos and spots that the English bands or European bands were doing. You know, I didn't know, and you know, you and I big Beatles fans. I didn't know that they made all these all the way back to Love Me Do. They made all these, you know, the videos for for every single that they did, right? And we never saw them, you know, and so I didn't know those all existed until I think the only time, the first time I was aware of something like that existing was when they did Paperback Writer in Rain. I think they released that to the Ed Sullivan Show instead of
because they weren't touring anymore,
right? You know, so but yeah, I just you know, in MTV, Dana, when you were still in Nebraska in '81 when it came on, so did you guys have it in the house?
Yes, yeah. So Omaha was one of the early test markets for MTV, so it wasn't necessarily plugged in around the whole country. But I mean, I remember just, you know, being like, you know, 20 years old and just hours and hours just sitting in front of the TV, you know, looking to see, you know, what they were going to come up with next, you know. And of course, that was the first place that I saw bands that I'd never heard of before that, you know, eventually became, you know, big for me, you know, like, you know, the Specials. You know, the Specials had, you know, videos on there. Split Ends. Okay. Speaking of south of the equator, I saw the first, and they weren't getting airplay in the States. Split Ends weren't getting any airplay in the States, but they were playing like I Got You was a you know, in heavy rotation. The other one, One Step Ahead, was in heavy rotation, and Split Ends weren't really known in the States yet. They really weren't.
Wow.
Now,
I was going to say, I didn't even realize you guys would even know who Split Ends were.
Yeah, no, loved them. Absolutely loved Split Ends. And then of course,
covered them.
Yeah, we did. Yeah,
we covered I Got You by the Split Ends, right?
Yeah, I did play I Got You on Backtracks one day.
Yeah, very popular song. So yeah, the whole MTV thing, right? So obviously, me at that time living in the Windsor house in Lawrence, we didn't have cable in that building, right? It was just your rabbit ears, right? So I didn't even see MTV. I knew about it. I didn't see MTV until 1983 when I moved to Nashua, New Hampshire, and ended up I had cable by some miraculous thing, and that's where I first saw MTV. And of course, at that point, it was like, "Ooh, I'm going to watch as much of this as I can," right? Yeah. Because I it just everything there was new to me. But it was funny. I don't know if you had a chance to watch that V66 documentary yet that I sent you.
Not yet, because I kind of want to dig into it. You know,
that's fine. But one of the things I found really interesting. So for those of you that never lived in the Boston area, V66 was a local version of MTV that was on a UHF channel. It was free. You didn't have to pay for it. It was started by a guy who'd been in radio anyway, and they played local music. They played national music. They played everything.
Live music.
Live music. Yes, they did live music too. Yes, they actually carried Live Aid, things like that. But the guy that started it, what he said was, he said that at that time, the market in Boston, like less than 35% of the Boston market in 1984 had MTV. That seems kind of crazy, right? Like we think that everybody had it, but even in like the fourth or fifth largest market in the country, 35% of the people actually can see MTV, right? And so yeah, and if you didn't have MTV, you kind of had to watch whatever was on late night, right? Fridays or things like that. There were some things on. So anyway, so MTV definitely changed how we do everything. And
you know, and it also didn't help some artists too, because I can think of one record that was popular, but the band itself, because they had, you know, and I'm not here to body shame anybody. You should see me from the neck down, but I remember when the song "Never Say Never" by Romeo Void came out, right? You know, great bass line, you know, just The whole record has a phenomenal sound to it, and very, very, very different. And then
provocative.
Yeah, and then people saw what the lead singer looked like, and she was not Madonna or Cyndi Lauper or Debbie Harry, and it didn't help the band,
Yeah.
And I just think to myself, of all the records that I heard when I was a kid in the late 60s or throughout the 70s, I had no idea what people looked like. It didn't make any difference. I liked the song, so
Yeah.
it definitely had a different it definitely changed the way we think about music, and it's because of the way it's being
packaged
now.
Yeah. I remember Never Say Never. I remember they used to play that in the clubs and or places we were playing. And I remember loving that song, right? And I didn't know what she looked like. I'd never seen the video, and just it was I mean, to us, it was kind of a naughty song. I might like you better if we slept together. I might like you better if we slept together, over and over and over again. It was like, damn, that's putting it out there, right? In 1981 or 82 or whatever year that was. But yeah, you're right. It probably didn't help their career any, and that's kind of a shame, but that doesn't say much about our society.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it hasn't gotten a whole heck of a lot better, I guess. Anyway, good conversation, MTV. Dave, any thoughts on you guys down there on MTV or?
Well, I mean, strange enough, we didn't get MTV, an Australian version of that, till April 1987.
Wow.
So, but we had many like weekly music shows here anyway.
Okay.
We had Countdown that was every Sunday night, which heavily promoted Australian artists, but obviously always had international artists on there. We had another one called Music Express, which was on a couple of hours on a Saturday, so we saw all the clips. So yeah, I think MTV lasted 6 years here.
Wow.
But it was like an Australian version. Obviously, it was hosted by an Australian. Okay. But obviously, they used a lot of the American footage to run it. But yeah, I think they decided in the end it cost too much.
Yeah. which is what happened with the other MTV. But and the thing that's silly now is I've seen advertisements recently on TV for the 2026 VMA awards. I'm like, how can you even have VMA awards when you don't even MTV VMA awards, when you don't even play videos anymore, and you shut down the one in Europe, right? It's like, oh my gosh, are we serious? Let's quit. Yeah. It's just a reason that whatever, whoever owns MTV, Paramount or whomever it is, right? Just trying to milk everybody for another award show. All right. So now we're going to jump back a little bit into our story. Yes, and Christopher Cross is a brilliant guitarist, still is. He is a brilliant guitarist, good blues guy from Texas of all places.
Well,
yes, sir.
I didn't know they had many yachts in Texas.
Well, they didn't have any, but he brought them. Actually all the yachts are down in Galveston or in South Padre. Anyway, so when we last left you, like I said, we were talking about 1982, and before that I had mentioned that I moved to Boston a little bit early to kind of learn things and set things up, whatever that was, and I didn't really learn anything, and that's not completely true. For the first year, I probably didn't learn anything because I didn't know what I was supposed to go and learn. But in 1981, it got a little bit better. I started to find out some things on my own. Just my friends didn't know anything about Boston music scene. They didn't know. They knew, the famous bands, right? They knew the Cars, they knew Jay Giles band, they knew Boston, they knew that kind of stuff, but they didn't know about, the Boston club scene. So one of the things that happened is I found this record store in Saugus, Massachusetts on Route 1. It was called Rocket Records. Yeah. It then became a Newbury Comics, I think, later. Newbury Comics was a real famous record store in Massachusetts. But anyway, I would go down there and buy imports. I could find imports there that I couldn't find in other places like Police Imports and things like that. What I found was a number of albums like this, Live at the Metro, Wicked Good Time. So if you know, familiar with Boston, WCOZ, Boston's Best, and another WCOZ record. Well, these were compilation albums that were put out by local radio stations, and it was all filled with local bands on it. And so usually I could find these in the kind of the bargain bin, so to speak, because some of them were already a couple years old, but some of the bands were still playing. And so by finding these, I could then hear kind of what the music scene sounded like in Boston. The other thing that I found just by happenstance was this radio station called WLYN, which was in Lynn, Massachusetts. And you could really only pick it up from where we were late at night. It wasn't a very big station, but it was a alternative new wave station, whatever you want. And they played some weird stuff, but they also played a lot of
local music.
And the same kind of thing as I would put on the tape deck, record it all night long, listen back the next day, see if there's anything interesting. If there was, I make a cassette of it, send it back to Omaha to Dana and say, hey, these are some local bands that I heard. So I started to kind of slowly but surely learn some stuff. The other thing was there was a local station, Channel 5, WCVB. I don't know if that's the call signs for it anymore. It was AB. Anyway, on Saturday nights or Friday nights, I don't remember which one, 5 All Night Live they had, and they would have a local band on in the studio, and they would play a set, right? And they do interviews with them. And so that's where I kind of got to see some of these bands firsthand, and then those bands, eventually that show kind of went off the air, but I could see some of the bands that, and kind of see, I don't want to say competition because it's hard to say competition, but bands that we would be kind of measured against in some ways and fighting for in spaces in clubs. So that was, so I did learn some stuff. So I didn't want to make it sound like I didn't really learn anything, but I started to actually find bands. And the first actual band that I saw from Boston was a band called the Stompers. And I saw them in a club in Methuen, Massachusetts, which is right next to Lawrence. In Massachusetts, if you're driving, you go from town to town and you never know that you've changed towns, right? There's no land. There's no land between the towns. There's a sign that says you're now in this town. And Methuen had this club, and it was called the Rendezvous at that time. It was down off by the Merrimack River. And I think they later changed the name to something else. But I saw the Stompers there. It was like an all ages show, which is why I saw them, because I was only 20 at that time. Or 19 even, or 20. And they had a band open for them that called Private Parts. And I just remember their name because Susan thought it was funny. And
I think they were a local band too.
They were.
Yeah.
And they changed their
local
name
to Lawrence.
Yes. And they changed their name to the Parts or something later.
On,
They probably got too much pushback from Private Parts and stuff like that. Some sooner or later you cave in, right? And you kind of go with the norm. So anyway, the Stompers, we'll probably be talking about them some more in the next episode. Yeah. They were like this, like they were just this big bar band in a way, right? It was only a 4-piece band, but they did really rootsy kind of call and response songs. They got the audience involved, and they were big. They were on a lot of those albums I just showed you. They were and they're still playing today.
Yeah.
They're still playing. You can still go on YouTube and find them still doing. And yes, Sal Baglio doesn't look the same from the shoulders down anymore either.
It happens.
It happens. We all get old, right? So anyway, so that kind of gets you caught up to where we were. And so Dave, can you show picture number 1? So we talked about the last time we played our open mic night at Vic's Rock Castle.
There it is.
This is a picture of Vic's Rock Castle from the outside. Quite the castle, right? Anyway, so I just wanted to kind of show that picture. And so, we were feeling pretty good after that, but we were just we'd only been together for 10 days. And out of those 10 days, 2 of them were weekends, so we only probably practiced for about 7. and you know, we felt pretty good about our 7 songs or whatever it was we played, but we, you know, went right back down into the basement of the liquor store where we practiced, and we practiced, you know, 5 nights a week, you know, probably from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. every night, doing our thing, and building up enough songs to go out and do a full set or more. And so what happens is, when the guy that I worked for in the liquor store didn't charge us to practice in the cellar of his liquor store. And on top of it, he employed us all. We all worked for him. Yep. So I worked in the liquor store, and Dana and our drummer Dave worked in the grocery store / arcade during the day. And then at night he would run it, kind of thing. But so every once in a while, these kinds of things, they're favors, and those favors get called in every now and again, right? Where you got to pay back, you know, something for having free rent, and stuff like that. And another one of those was, we had friends that we talked about how St. Anne's Church was the kind of church in that parish right around where we were living. And a lot of the people that we knew and had met and kind of befriended were involved in that church. And so they got us to do a few things like that. So Dave, if you can start with picture number 2. So this is a picture of us at St. Anne's, probably where they played bingo and everything, right? I think it says no smoking or something. So this is us in probably April of 1982 still. Mike has gotten rid of his mustache, so he kind of looks like a normal one of us. I still didn't get my hair cut yet, but that was okay. And Dave didn't have his haircut either. But so this is kind of us. We did a freebie for him. I think we did 2 freebies for St. Anne's Church. And so the other thing is, you do these things, right? And you're playing for free, because nobody's going to pay you, and you got to play wherever and whenever you can. And so go ahead to next picture number 3. So this is us playing inside the grocery store. So my boss called in his chips, and we played at the grand opening of his arcade inside the grocery store. And there's Dave. He's up in the window. And so again, playing for free. There's other pictures, and you can see all the food on the shelves and things like that. It's quite funny. But the guy was good to us. We drank for free a lot, and we practiced for free, and he gave us jobs. And every band has to have somebody or someone or some people that help them out in some ways. And this guy's name was go ahead.
I was going to say, Rob's going to point out the fact there's only one bass drum there.
Yep.
Well,
but it does have our name on it.
Well, it does. That's I think that helps.
And this was, and so when we start talking about clubs and stuff, there's a reason why a lot of bands couldn't have double kicks on stage, and that's because, first of all, the stages weren't big enough, and secondly, the house sound didn't have enough microphones.
Yeah, they weren't going to mic 2 kick drums.
No, they said one or the other. And so if you were a band on your way up and you're playing in a club, you're going to get the short end of the stick every time. And most of those sound techs, they were not going to give you two kick drum mics. And so we were lucky we didn't have 2 kick drums anyway. So we were okay with it. The next one. So one of the, you can take that one down for a second. So one of the things we did, we got creative, is how do we find gigs, right? How do we do what we need to do? And one of the things we did is we would load all our stuff into the van on a Friday afternoon, and we would drive around town. Mostly we did it in Lowell, Massachusetts. We didn't do it too much in Lawrence, but we would drive over to Lowell, which again is kind of the next 2 towns over, up the Merrimack River a little bit. And we would just pull up to a neighborhood bar, go inside, and ask them if they had a band for the night. If they said no, we'd ask them if they wanted one. And if they kind of wanted one, then you start the negotiations, right? Okay, well, how much? Right. And so for us, it wasn't so much about how much money we could make. It was having some place to play.
Yeah.
Right. And so if we could agree on a price, then we say, okay, well, we got all our stuff. We'll just unload it. And then we'd get on the phone and call a friend. And then the telephone game would happen, and they'd call a friend and they'd call a friend. And next thing you know, you have a bunch of friends show up at these little bars. And so that worked. Unbelievably, it worked. And it worked well enough that some of these places had us back again and again and again. Right. Yeah. So they became regular places. They became a Friday and Saturday. No, we did not ever go busking in malls. I think
it's because they had Tiffany booked. And
Tiffany was there.
There just wasn't. Yeah.
No, Pam, we didn't ever get to that level. But so we had this little pocket of places that we could play and make a little bit of money. Right. But more so, it was a place for us to play and to get better. Right. You only get better when you play in front of people live. You can play in the basement all you want, and you can start and stop, and you can do all these things. But when you're in front of people, even if they're your friends, because your friends sometimes can be brutal. Our friends could be brutal. Right. You guys suck tonight. Right. You know, I think our friend Jamie was probably the most.
I was going to say he was very blunt.
Yeah. Very blunt. And you know, some people say, oh yeah, you guys were all right tonight. When somebody says, oh yeah, you were okay, you were all right, that just means that we weren't very good, and they just don't want to tell us that. But Jamie would come out and say, yeah, you guys sucked. So
true.
So we had a couple places. One was called the Mason Street Lounge, which was in Lawrence. And then the next one. Yeah, so I tried to find a picture of the outside of the place, and I had one and I couldn't find it. This is inside.
I wish you'd asked me.
Yeah, I saw it the other day, and then I went to find it, and I couldn't find it. But it was in this kind of a sketchy neighborhood, right? And this is the downstairs. This is probably late 1982 or early 1983. And but there was an upstairs, and the upstairs was like this big banquet hall. Yeah. And that's where we started off playing, along with this band called Judge Lynch. And they were really kind of a punk band.
Nice guys.
More so than
we
were.
Nice guys.
We were a bunch of nice kids, and they were punks. And that's how we met Dana McGovero too at the same time. For anybody that watched What About Monday and heard some of Dana's songs. But anyway, this is the Mason Street Lounge downstairs. I don't know where that banner went to. I wish I still had it. But so this was the Mason Street Lounge. So we played there, and we played at this place called the Irish Harp in Lowell. So between April 10th and the end of August in 82, we played at the Mason Street Lounge 5 times, the Irish Harp 7 times, and this little club in Lawrence called M's, which was this neighborhood bar, 2 times. And so
I didn't realize we played at the Irish Harp that many times.
Yeah, I didn't either until I looked at the calendar.
I mean, I remember, we're going to the Mason Street again,
Yeah.
Played for 5 people, but the Irish Harp.
Yeah. The upstairs to the Mason Street, nobody ever came to those. But the people that owned the Mason Street listened enough to know that we played the kind of music, even though we were kind of this new wave band, we played a lot of old school rock and roll songs, and they realized that their clientele downstairs would like us, enough. And so we graduated from upstairs to downstairs, where we started getting paid. Upstairs, it was all, we didn't get paid. Downstairs, we got paid. But yeah, we started playing down there. So anyway, go to picture 5. And it's just a picture of Dave during that time. I don't know where that was. Got a Marilyn Monroe picture there, and I don't know where that sign is.
I don't know where the Memos sign came from. That's a good question.
I think maybe the club that we were playing at made it. Could have been. something like that.
Yep.
And go to picture number 6. This is Dana. This is the same club. A bunch of stolen milk crates from Mike's grocery store to hold up that PV amp. Milk crates are awesome.
Yeah.
I don't know if they, I'm sure they still do make them. Go ahead to the next picture, Dave. And then here's Mike. There's that famous poster again with the Marilyn Monroe thing. And then you can go to the next picture. And there's me. And I don't know where that guitar came from. I have no idea what that is. That's not that. That's not that Les Paul knockoff I had, because I traded that in.
No, it's not. It's not.
I don't know what that is. I remember we used to rent a guitar every now and again in case we broke a string. So maybe that's what it was. So back in those old days like that, we only had our just one guitar each. We didn't have a backup guitar. So if we broke a string, you're just screwed and you got to fix it, replace it. We didn't have guitar techs. We didn't have any of that kind of crap. What was that, right? Sometimes we didn't even have extra strings. But anyway, just an idea to kind of show you what we kind of looked like back in those days. So the next thing that kind of happened for us is we got into the end of May was we saw in one of the local music paper for Lawrence that there was this Battle of the Bands thing, right? And so here's one of the ads from it. So you can see, so on June 9th, we played and we won our night, which was really kind of hilarious. At least we kind of thought so. We started practicing on March 28th, and on June 9th we were playing in this Battle of the Bands. But the thing that was cool for us was the name of the club where it was being played at which is called The Raft, which was in Lowell, Massachusetts. I don't, Dan, do you want to talk about the Raft? I can go on and on about the Raft, but do you want to talk about it for a sec?
Yeah. So the Raft was like, for one thing, it was the very first place we ever played where we got to play with a professional sound system, right? Because they had their own house sound. We didn't have to haul in our, pathetic microphones and pathetic, speakers and soundboard that we had, but it was all because basically we gigged out with the same soundboard and speakers that we rehearsed with in the cellar. So we didn't have two different sound systems. But at the Raft, we, hopefully I'm not, getting ahead of things too much, but we got to get exposed to and open for a lot of the bands that were getting to be big in the Boston area. And the Raft was one of those places where these Boston bands who were probably on the radio already in Boston and were, trying to get record deals and stuff like that. It was one of those places up north of Boston that they could go and play, because a lot of it too was that Lowell, Massachusetts was a college town. They've got UMass Lowell there now. At the time it was called Lowell College, but it was still a big college. So it was one of those types of places. But for us to go in there and have somebody actually miking the drums, miking, each individual, instrument, and having monitors, you could hear yourself sing, right? You could actually hear yourself. It was a big deal to us. And we were, very fortunate that we got to play there very early on,
Yeah, this was Axe Victim. I don't think we were there the night they played. We didn't show up for for some of those, but the Raft, we thought the Raft was big time, right? To us. Yeah. We had never been exposed, like Dana said, to something like this.
It was always fun to play at. Fun to play at.
It was an awesome place to play. We loved playing there, and they loved us for the most part. But it was, like I said, a big sound system. Like if you went to a concert, in a mid-sized hall, this was the real deal. And lighting, the whole bit. The stage was about 4 feet off the main floor, and the drum riser was, another couple feet above that. But it was a very small stage. So this is one of those places where, if you saw that ad, there was a band called ASRock, and they had a double kick drum. And I remember that being, because they played in the finals when we played in the finals with them. And I remember being there for sound check, and the guy was like, no, you get one or the other. I mean, that's just the way it is. But, but anyway, so we're going to play a short song that we had started playing right about that time. So Dave, you can play the video for Shortbread. It's a pretty short song, and we can see how the style can get.
You should despair. Well, you look like the Sunstar Pollyanna, stylish watch and wear. The cheerleader walk in your college sock and big dumb money eyes. Then Mata Harvey's got nothing on you in deception and disguise. Hey! How do you expect me to insult you with any kind of accuracy if you're gonna look me straight in the eye with your arms crossed laughing at me? So I move on to some of the victim, succeed in becoming a pain. But as I walk out the door, though I seem to ignore it, can't help but think you have got a brain. Now I'm never gonna leave you, never gonna leave you, never gonna leave you down. Hey! Never gonna leave you, never gonna leave you, never gonna leave you down. Hey! Hey! Ho! Hey! Last impressions are lasting and may prove to seem a pain. But I'm glad I don't believe everything you say. By 25 I'll be a saint. Well, you say you couldn't break a promise, but I saw one drown in your glass. So I'll take your advice and put the feeling on ice and hope that it'll never pass. Now I'm never gonna leave you, never gonna leave you, never gonna leave you down. Hey! Never gonna leave you, never gonna leave you, never gonna leave you down. Hey! Hey! Oh! Yeah! Hey!
And that was Shortbread here on Tunes Brothers on a Monday night. Yeah, so Shortbread, it was one of Dana's newer originals at the time. And Dana, can you tell him why it's called Shortbread?
Well, because the bass line that Mike's playing, he thought it reminded him of Mama's little baby got shortening, Mama little baby loves shortening bread, right? So even though Shortbread has nothing to do with the song, that's what we called it. That was one of those songs that it's kind of like throw everything into the pot as far as the influences go on it. I think the lyrics, I was trying to write something snarky like Elvis Costello would write, lyrically wise. At the time, people just shouting things like hey or ho or whatever, we're in some new wave songs. And so we threw that in. And at the end there, how we kind of had me playing some sort of a lead break over just drums and rhythm, kind of tossing in some bow wow wow,
Bow wow
so it
wow,
had a
Adam
little
and the
bit
Ants,
of
that kind of thing. Yeah.
So just trying to intentionally write something that sounded like, a new wave song,
Yeah.
So, but
All right.
that's kind of what that was.
Picture number 11, David. So before we played the finals of the Battle of the Bands thing, our manager Wilson had arranged for us to do an interview with the local Lawrence Eagle Tribune newspaper, and there it is there, right? The Memos rock band quits the Midwest for the East, and it goes on, and we're all kind of quoted in there a little bit. And this is down in the basement of the liquor store, right? They came down and took a picture, and I think the interview happened a couple days before that, but this was actually published in the paper the day before the finals of the Battle of the Bands. And so, we did, generate a little bit of press somehow, some way, to try and get ourselves going a little bit. Let's go with picture number 12, please. I did have a kind of a picture of the outside of the raft. Oh, yeah, that's all I could find online was just, but this was kind of like the backside, which was really the front side, where the raft was kind of made up on two different floors. There was the floor where the bands played, and it had a really long bar. And then there was a downstairs, which was like a nightclub, like a disco or whatever. So it was always the dance place. So it was always the band. We always tried our best to get people that were coming in the door where the bands played to not go downstairs, to try and get them to stay upstairs to see the band instead of going downstairs, hunting for chicks and stuff. Right. So, and eventually that became a one of those places, what it was, Chevy's or something, one of those corporate bars. And I think it's long gone now. So this was kind of our home away from home for probably about a year and a half. That we played there quite a bit. And we'll talk about that a little bit more in our next episode. So then the next thing that happened is we got a gig playing at another open mic night at a place called The Channel. And The Channel was kind of arguably Boston's biggest club for local bands. It held about 1,700, and there were a lot of national acts that would come through and regional acts and stuff like that. But on Mondays or Tuesdays, they would do these open mic nights. So if you can show picture number 13, this is the kind of outside of The Channel, the parking lot, and what was then the Boston skyline. Obviously it's different now that the Channel is no longer there. It's one of those places that went by the wayside when all these clubs started closing in Boston. But so next, so last week we played, 2 weeks ago, we played that song Bad News, and it had some film clips of us playing live, and it was at The Channel on that night. And so tonight we're going to actually show you a clip from us actually from that video playing with the audio from that night. It's a cover, but one of the funny things that we'll talk about it after. So if you could play the video from The Channel, I'll stir it up.
Here's a song by Bob Marley and the Wailers with kind of a reggae feeling to it.
So
White
Steer It
Reggae.
Up by Bob Marley played a lot faster. White
Yeah.
Reggae, yes, played a lot faster than Bob Marley ever did. And so Dana, what the Neil Schneider story about us playing Steer It Up.
Yeah, so we played that going back to that Battle of the Bands that was in at the Raft in Lowell. So he had told me that, and of course,
Tell
something
him
we
who
didn't
Neil
mention-
Schneider is.
So right. So Neil Schneider was a guy who owned a booking company that was above a shoe store that he also owned called Kenner Shoes in Lawrence on Broadway. And anyway, he was like the guy that organized and sponsored the Battle of the Bands that was at the Raft that we were in, where we came in second place, right? And even though he didn't like us as a band, the only reason that he booked us is because we played Stir It Up.
Yeah.
The only reason.
Fair enough.
Neil Schneider.
They didn't
Fair
like
enough,
us,
right?
but he liked that we played Stir It Up.
He didn't like us, but you know what? We had a good working relationship with him and his agency for like 3 years.
For many
So,
years, yeah.
Many years. We kind of did each other a lot of favors over the years, and we'll talk more about some of those favors. So, and if you saw that ad for the Battle of the Bands, there was a thing about, the winner gets $300 cash or whatever, and a key opening gig at the Raft, right? And all this, and there were other prizes too. Our prize, the prize that we won, was a photo session, and I talked about that. We'll talk about that in the next episode. But what we did get right away, and we weren't expecting it, was we did get an opening gig at the Raft. Now, they paired us with this band called Lipstick. So if you could picture number 14, Dave. So on July 15th, we had an opening gig with this all-female band called Lipstick. They look pretty rough, right? So I don't know if they were kind of supposed to be the Runaways or what they were supposed to be. They weren't bad as a band, actually. You know, they were pretty heavy. But one of those girls, I think, has her own guitar company, or what was it, Dana? I don't remember what she did.
Yeah, it's really weird. About 20 years after the whole Raft thing, I had a gig because I DJ'd for like 24 years in my like 30s and 40s and into my 50s. But this young woman came in and she's like, "Oh, you're Dana from the Memos, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah." Like, how did she know that, right? And come to find out, she was the lead guitar player from Lipstick. And we reminisced a little bit, but Lipstick was a band that was put together by Neil Schneider from Rock Fever, because he thought if he put together, an all-female band that did like harder rock, because they were more like, spandex, hard rock kind of metal. That's more so what they did. And he was actually soliciting for like original material, right? Like his thought was he wanted to not have, because there were probably tons of bands that were all female that were doing covers at the time, but his thought was that he wanted to have an all-female band that did all originals, and he was hoping that would be like his meal ticket, eventually. But so that was the Lipstick thing, and they did really well for a while. They did really well for a long while. They did.
We opened for them a couple of times. I don't know why they thought it was a good match. I mean, musically, we were miles apart from each other, but maybe because we were all young people. Who knows? But
I think the other thing too was that up in the Merrimack Valley, there were a lot of harder rock bands. I mean, I would say that like up in the Lawrence and Methuen area, predominantly it was harder rock bands that were coming out of that area. And we were probably one of the very few kind of like, college town, new music type of bands that were available to book, I can't think of many others,
Is it Dave? I think the young lady in front might have Gene's wig. I'm not sure.
Well, maybe.
Yeah.
She's pretty intense looking though. I'll tell you.
She's serious, yeah.
I
She's
don't-
serious.
I
So there was
remember
no romantic involvement.
Oh. No.
No, they wouldn't talk to us. No.
Oh, okay.
No, they wouldn't
You know,
talk.
I want to go back to the channel for a minute, though,
Sure.
with the new music nights in Boston. So there were a lot of different places in Boston that had new music nights, and there was also this thing in Boston in a lot of the clubs that was called pay to play. And what they did was, and the channel was one of them. There'd be like these hungry bands like us who just, we're, dying to play in Boston. We wanted to play, anywhere in Boston. It didn't make any difference. We just wanted to be able to play in Boston. And so what they would do is they would say, okay, like the channel as an example, they'd say, all right, what we'll do is, we will sell you 100 tickets, right? And what did you pay? Like $400 for the tickets, maybe something like that, Jim? I'm having a hard time remembering, but they'd sell you like 100 tickets for $400. And the idea was you had to then, if you wanted to make your money back, you had to go out and sell those tickets to friends and family, right? So that you'd make your money back on it. But that is the way that they would run these new music nights. And we did it a couple of times. I think we did it a couple of times at the channel. If I remember correctly.
Yeah, so some of them actually made you pay and some of them didn't. And that they did that all the way up until, even the 90s. And in the 90s, it became more and more prevalent that you had to pay up front. But some of the ones that we did, right, no, it was they didn't make you pay. But there was some where I remember one time in Cool Blue Sky where we had one and nobody sold enough tickets. I think it was and it might have been at like this place called TT the Bears. So you're probably familiar with TT the Bears.
Yeah, I remember TT's.
And the first band went on and they played their set, but they didn't sell enough tickets. We were up next, and then the owner came out and said, nobody sold enough tickets. I'm closing the club for the night. And that was just that. So you drove all the way down there, you set up, and whatever friends you did sell tickets to that were there, blah, 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 you're just SOL, right? I never remember that happening at the channel or any of the other places. No. It was to me, it seemed like it was more about, because I remember we'd sell the tickets for like $1. I mean, they were like, and we would give them away, right?
We never made money.
No, because it was more about how many people you could bring in the door, and they would spend money at the bar and
exactly. That was the idea,
that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So so speaking of the channel, and then there was a next big place. So there were three big clubs that were right on our radar in the beginning. One was the Raft in Lowell. One was the Channel. And the next one was a place called the Rat. So if you can show number 15. So this is our ticket for the Rat. And I believe it does say $4 on there or something. So this was our ticket to play at the Rat on August 2nd of 1982. And if you can go to picture number 16, Dave, real quick, I'll show you a picture of the Rat. The Rat, or it was short for Rathskeller. And the Rat to me, I always envisioned it. The Rat to me was what CBGB's was to New York. The Rat was to Boston. It was down in the basement. It was like they never cleaned the damn place. It was a happening place. This is a place where when bands came over from England, they played. The Cars played there. The Police played there.
They played their first. Yeah, the Police played their first American gig at the Rat.
At the Rat, and so this place was nasty and sweaty, and it wasn't just punk rock place. It was rock. I mean, it was Berkeley College School of Music's not too far from here. There, Fenway Park's on the other side of the back of this building, kind of a thing. So it's in Kenmore Square, but this was like one of those. This was one of the big places you had to play to try and get into. And the smaller places, there were places like Cantones, and and some other smaller clubs that it was a rite of passage. You had to go do those, right? If you didn't have those on your resume, did you play Cantones yet? Did you play Chet's Last Call? Did you play Jasper's or wherever it was? Did you play those places, right? You kind of had to pay your dues to be able to get into here. And so so we played the Rat on August 2nd of 1982. And just show number 17, if you would, Dave. And then we had one last thing in August that we did, because we'll pick it up from there. We played another Battle of the Bands on August 4th, and a little bit more money. And what I don't know that our hearts were really in this one too much, because by then we were already kind of established and starting to play more. But the one side note to this, so actually the band that won the one in Lowell also won this one. There's a band called Azrock, and they were kind of this kind of a they were kind of cover, but they did some originals, and they were kind of lover boyish.
And the lead singer, he used to do those kicks that David Lee Roth would do.
So anyway, but the one point of kind of interest for some people on this might be that one of the bands that played on this, and I don't really remember them, Mike does, it was a band called The Dream.
Oh, yeah.
The Dream ended up being Extreme.
Right.
They ended up selling their name to a TV production company who was doing a TV show about a make-believe band called The Dream, and so they sold their name, and then
became Extreme.
Became Extreme, and of course More Than Words and all that many years later. But they were in this Battle of the Bands, but I don't really remember them. No,
not me neither.
So we've kind of gone way over our time again, but in the essence of time, we are going to hit our weekly one hit wonder, if you would.
Oh, yeah.
You know which one that one is, Dave? It's a song you know.
Moving forwards, using all my breath. Making love to you was never second best. I saw the world crashing all around your face, never really knowing it was always mesh and lace. I'll stop the world and melt with you. You've seen the difference and it's getting better all the time.
Yes, Modern English and their big, I don't know if it was really a hit, but it's very much a hit nowadays. And it was in that classic movie starring a young Nicolas Cage and a terminally cute Deborah Foreman called Valley Girl, which was a kind of predecessor to Fast Times at Ridgemont High and all the John Hughes movies, but a little bit rougher around the edges. So, they were, it's on the Valley Girl soundtrack. You're right. I've got that soundtrack. It's a good soundtrack. They were a nice one hit wonder. Enough so that I think they tried to re-release it again, like in 85 or 86, something like that, didn't they?
They did a remake of it that was poor.
Yeah. Sometimes it's not good to go back.
No,
right?
don't go back.
The original thing is the good thing.
That's like don't Police doing.
So anyway, Josie Cotton and the Pussycats, Del. Yeah, Johnny, Are You Queer? Can't play that kind of song anymore. That was a funny song. No. So think of that. So think of Valley Girl and the prom scene. The band playing at the prom in Valley Girl is Joni Cotton and the Pussycats, and they're playing Johnny, Are You Queer? And you think of Pretty in Pink, and they have Orchestral Maneuvers in the Dark or somebody playing at the prom, right? so like wildly different from each other,
yeah.
right? But anyway, hopefully you guys have had a little fun. We'll be back in 2 weeks with this show, and we're going to cover the rest of 1982 as we kind of get our act together and take it on the road and start becoming like a real a band, playing out and doing stuff. Hopefully we're gonna have a special guest with us for that one. So I don't know, Dave, are we gonna do something on September 7th? I know that's U.S. Labor Day, but it really doesn't matter to me, and to Dana it doesn't matter, and to you probably don't care because that's actually Tuesday to you. So if Dave, if you don't have any problem, we'll get back together on September 7th with this show. You all right with that, Dave? And then next week, I'll be back.
Sorry, I was muted.
Next week I'll be back with Andrew, and what about Monday? And Dell, sorry we did not get to the Smiths tonight because A, it wasn't part of the plate again. I don't remember them doing any covers, and B, they weren't a one-hit wonder, so they just didn't fit into the category for tonight. But
yeah, and what year did the first Smiths album come out anyway?
84, I think, right? Well, maybe not, but the first big song that I remember from them was 84, right? How Soon Is Now?
Yeah, How Soon Is Now was, but yeah, what year did the Smiths album come out?
Well, Dell should know.
Yeah.
Was it 82 or something, Dell? I don't remember.
Yeah. I
don't remember hearing them until
well, we were very late to come on board with them in the US anyway. So
83.
Okay. Sadly, yeah.
So anyways, so tomorrow night we got Flipside and Vince Neil Carved in Stone. And what do you guys on Wednesday, David?
What have we got? We got Perfect Strangers, Deep Purple.
Perfect Strangers, Deep Purple on the
reunion album.
For those about to talk. And Saturday, you're taking Saturday off?
I don't know what we're doing. I don't know if we've got a sold out or not. We'll find out.
Okay, we'll find out, and then Sunday backtrack probably.
Yes.
Anyway, definitely. Thank you guys for being here. We appreciate your time, and have a good rest of your week.
Thanks, everybody.
See you later, everyone.